Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete.
And this is Derek.
And we talk about... What do we talk about, Derek?
We talk about anything video games, but usually Nintendo.
Alright, yeah, I mean, hopefully you know that by now if you're an avid listener. And if you've clicked on the Nintendo Bros podcast, hopefully you like Nintendo too. Otherwise, why are you here? So this week, actually, there hasn't been a ton of news this week, and we're kind of expecting some news, coming throughout this year. So we're going to talk about Mario Kart.
Yes.
Respond. Yes.
This is a Mario Kart episode. Exactly.
Yeah, and I've been a Mario Kart fan since the original, and I've actually I've played and owned every single Mario Kart. And I mean, other than I don't have the arcade cabinet in my basement.
Did you play Mario Kart Tour?
Yes, I've downloaded and played it, but I'm not like extensively deep into it. But I have played it, and I have even played the arcade version, both the first version and the second version of the arcade, one Namco made. Have you tried the arcade one?
No, I have not, and I haven't played Tour either.
Okay, well, anyways, I mean, I think there's the 8 core Mario Karts, plus the deluxe spin-off, plus the 2 arcade cabinets, plus Tour, so that's about, 10, 11 Mario Karts and change.
Yeah. And
this has skyrocketed to Nintendo's #1 franchise. Full stop.
When did that kind of takeover happen?
I'm trying to think. So on the game,
it's not like Double Dash was huge. I think Wii was kind of where it.
Double Dash was huge. I
didn't know that.
Smash Bros. Melee sold more overall. But I mean, Smash Bros. Melee was the top-selling game on GameCube, but Mario Kart Double Dash wasn't far behind. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, Mario Kart, even the original Mario Kart, I don't have sales numbers in front of me, but the original Mario Kart was popular. Like, Mario Kart's never not been popular.
Yeah.
But I think it was the DS version that really took off, because the Mario Kart DS, I think, sold upwards of 20 million units, and then it was kind of the Wii that went over 30 million, and now we're into the high heavens with the 50 million mark.
Yeah.
Like, it is literally Nintendo's GTA 5. Like, is their cash cow, and I think I could be wrong on this, but I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has been in the top 10 sales in North America since it came out in April 2017.
Yeah, that's just insane.
It's a GTA 5 level feat. And I very specifically remember renting Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo. I remember loving it so much.
We bought it, right?
We eventually got it. I don't know. Back in the day, it was like you get something on Christmas and your birthday or whenever. But I remember renting it, and I remember owning it. And then I remember the incredible hype I had for Mario Kart 64. And I actually remember the day it came out, and I remember coming home from school. I think it was in grade 4, and I remember coming home from school, and like Mom had bought it for me because she knew how hyped I was, and it was just like the most glorious day. It was a glorious day. So, anyways, Derek, let's jump into it. Why don't you tell me your memories? I mean, I kind of give you my memories. What is your memories of this series?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably I was a bit younger than you for the Super Nintendo, so I have played that. I don't really know if I played it on the Super Nintendo that much, maybe a bit with you, but it never really clicked with me. Super Nintendo or Super Mario Kart is one of my least favorite Mario Karts, just because I just never was into it enough by the time I was, old enough. I was already playing the better graphic Mario Karts and the ones with, better stages and whatnot. But yeah, I remember following the Mario Kart 64 for sure. Like, we played it a lot together and as, with our siblings. And I've owned every single Mario Kart except for Double Dash. I've owned DS, 3DS, like 7, 8, Wii. So I played most of them, and I love them a lot.
Did you play Super Circuit on Game Boy Advance?
I did. I own that. I still have it, actually.
Great.
And the only one I really don't think I really played almost at all was Double Dash, because that was the time when you had your GameCube in your room, and I just wasn't really, I just wasn't playing a lot of GameCube games at that time.
Yep.
But I do remember playing with a friend. I remember my friend having that game, and I used to go to his house all the time down the street, and we play that co-op together. So that was fun. I wish they bring that mechanic back. We can talk about that later. I liked them all. I don't think I have as much nostalgia and hype and frothing at the mouth as you do, but I'm a day one for the games in the series for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I mean, it seems like now it's just such a staple now. So it's kind of interesting to look back on what it was. And I remember, when Mario Kart 64 came out in, I don't know, 1993 or something. I mean, there's a lot of years for Mario Kart 64, and then a few years later was Super Circuit. And by the time Double Dash came out in 2003, even though Super Circuit came out in, I think, 2001. It had felt like eons since Mario Kart 64 in 97. Like, it had been 6 years. And then after that, it kind of feels like we had a Mario Kart every couple of years. Double Dash was 2003, and then DS was 2005, and then, it kind of it went from there. And then Wii was 2008, and 3DS was 2011. So it kind of
When did Super Circuit come out?
Super Circuit, I believe, came out in 2001.
Okay. So it kind of, yeah.
Yeah, because Mario, the Game Boy Advance came out, I believe, 2000 in the year 2000, like March-ish, and Super Circuit was either the end of that year in 2000 or 2001, around that time frame. But yeah, like, so it's a great franchise. But anyways, Derek, I kind of tasked you and myself to talk about not only our top 3 favorite Mario Karts, but also our least favorite Mario Kart. So I figured I would, we'll start with you, and maybe we'll go to our third favorite and why, and then we'll go to our first, and then we'll talk about our least favorite and why.
Sure.
So why don't you go first?
Yeah, so my third favorite is going to be Mario Kart 64, surprisingly.
Okay.
Again, it's kind of the first one I grew up with. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I really like the levels, the characters. It's one of those games that I remember playing.
Wait. You liked the characters? It feels like I had a really slim character selection.
Yeah, but I mean, as a kid, it's just... you're right, but it's like, I don't know. I just like that it had all these varieties and different options and courses, and I guess you could just say it's nostalgia. But they have good tracks. I think of Warrior Stadium, or even like the classic Rainbow Road. Like, they just have some stages that have stood the test of time. And they introduced a lot of interesting weapons in that game. And it was cool just adding I have the memories of, that was the first game where I really played 50, 100, and 150cc. I played the mirror mode. I did all the courses, got gold cups on everything. Like, I played that game a lot. So I think I have a lot of good memories of that game.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting with 64, for one, the jump to like 3D space at the time was really cool. But also the battle mode for me, still to this day, the Mario Kart 64 battle mode seems like it's the most, I played the most, it was the most fun, it was the most iconic. And since then, it seems like the battle mode hasn't really continued with that same luster that Mario Kart 64 had.
But the question is really, do you think the Mario Kart 64 battle mode is still good, or do you think we were just kids and young? Like I always think about that with GoldenEye too. Like, do you think GoldenEye would still be fun now, or would it would just be like, oh, it was fun for the time and our age?
Well, let me put it this way. So with GoldenEye's multiplayer, we can see that evolving into Halo, and now Call of Duty, and now all the the multiplayer shooter has like evolved from GoldenEye. So I think you can't. I mean, yes, it's a little bit old, but I mean, people still play it. But I think with Mario Kart 64 is that, like, you got to remember, it came out pretty soon after the N64, and as far as I remember, it was the very first 4-player split-screen multiplayer game. Potentially ever. I really think it might actually be the first 4-player split-screen where, split every part of your 4x3 TV into squares. So, like, that in and of itself was novel. And you got to remember, before N64, game consoles were 2 players, and N64 having 4 controllers, I remember being like a super big jump. It was like, wow, 4 people can play? Like, what a paradigm shift in gaming.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, well, how do 4 people play on one screen? And then I mean, remember seeing the early screenshots and be like, of course they're splitting the screen in four. So like there really was this kind of jump between games being a one-player, maybe a two-player experience, to like a genuine party experience. And I feel like Mario Kart 64 kind of jumped off with that. So there was, I think, in the time, just having a 4-player experience was a lot of fun. Like it was the only thing you could play 4 players with. It was justified buying all those controllers.
Yeah.
And I think, but I think, back to what I said about GoldenEye and shooters kind of progressing, you're right that the car combat shooter hasn't really progressed. Like Twisted Metal kind of died, and Mario Kart Battle Mode kind of died, and we don't. I mean, I guess there's like Rocket League, but we don't really have that kind of battle mode car combat game. It doesn't seem like it's really that fun.
Yeah, I was just curious. Like, do you really think it would be fun? That's what I'm saying.
I
don't know.
I actually don't think so, because for one, as racing games progressed, it seemed like the speed increased, and like the kind of the gameplay was all around like great racing, and to enhance the racing further and further kind of meant that like you couldn't have a great like arena racer, and I think even that's reflected in Mario Kart 8, where like when you're doing the multiplayer, like the combat multiplayer, it just feels a little bit chaotic and broken, and the controls feel off, and turning around feels clumsy, and
or even the racing in general. I find sometimes the items do feel like they get in the way almost of the game. I don't know if you ever feel that way.
In battle mode, you mean? Or
no, like even in the racing, it's like I just find it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't feel like as technical or as solid of a racer. It feels like it's more of a party game where you're talking about the evolution of racing. I just find if we talk about like F-Zero, for example, it's a lot tighter, a lot more technical. Where
I disagree. I thought we were talking specifically about battle mode. I think the racing in Mario Kart 8 is very refined. But
me too. I just think the items get in the way is what I'm trying
to say.
But
it's part of it. It's part of it. But my point is that as the racing's refined, it's moved further and further away from what would make a car combat game fun. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And where racing, you have this goal to come in first. So you're racing and item balancing, where if you're just item balancing in car combat, it's almost like, well, avoid everyone until you get red shells. And like I think if we had the if a competitive online car combat game would be so much harder to balance with the randomized items. And I just think as they've increased the need for like the feeling of speed and tight turns and like this really great racing, it's moved further and further away from that. And I think the only thing that makes the Mario Kart 64 battle mode work is that your kart's moving a lot slower, and that there is only 4 people. You know what I mean? So there's little things like that kind of make it work.
The one thing I want to say though is as much as I agree, I don't think the battle mode has kind of lasted well throughout the series. I do have a lot of fun playing those kind of modes once in a while on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like, I think of the Shine Run or the Piranha game. Like those, they can be fun.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't grind them out, but it's not like it's atrocious.
It's a fun distraction, and I think later when we talk about like the future of Mario Kart, I have lots of ideas on how they could improve the battle mode. But anyways, it's an interesting point because it's always been this kind of thing of this Mario Kart has, even since the first one, has really been defined by these 2 modes, and it really seems like battle mode's kind of taken a back seat. And that's why, my third pick actually is Mario Kart 64 as well. And simply because of like the nostalgia and like the feeling I have around it. And, like you said, the courses mostly all feel iconic, where other Mario Karts not so much. And that battle mode, right? Like the battle mode was pretty great. Like the courses were a lot of fun. I remember there was Big Donut, and there was Skyscraper and Triple Decker and Block Fort.
Block 4, yeah.
And all 4 of those have this unique value in these strategies, and I like how it's elimination based. So like when you lose 3 balloons, you are out. Which is something they moved away from. But yeah, like you could spend hours playing that battle mode. And I gotta say, for my third place, I did do a tie with Super Mario Kart because it's like it's my nostalgia pick here. Because ultimately, I do think there are 3 better Mario Karts. It's really just a nostalgia pick. But okay. I definitely agree. Like I definitely agree that it's a.
So you broke the rules to your own game. I got it.
Well, no, it's more that I'll explain with my second pick why I feel this way, but it's like yeah, I'm picking Mario Kart 64, but I'm kind of giving it a bias because I was there at the time that it came out and have those memories. If it was sheerly about turning it on now and playing it, there's definitely three other Mario Karts I'd rather play now, if that makes any sense. Like and when I do boot it up on the NSO expansion, it's pretty strictly a nostalgia run. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I have actually booted up, and it is a lot of fun to play Mario Kart 64 on the Switch handheld. It's like a nice time killer to blast through the GPs when you're like, you know, waiting for a plane or something. But it really is more of a nostalgia rush, if that makes any sense. Okay, Derek, what's your number 2 pick?
Okay, so my number 2 is, I have a feeling it might be your least favorite, or it's gonna be a surprise. It's Mario Kart DS.
Wow.
And yeah, and you know, this game has a
Derek,
lot
Derek,
of.
can I just say, Mario Kart DS is my second pick as well.
Really?
We're gonna have the same top 3. I already know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's so funny. I did not think that was gonna be your second. So yeah, Mario Kart DS, I loved a lot. Mario Kart DS, just to make sure, it's the one that had the challenge modes, right?
It had like the mission
Like
modes.
mission. So I love that. But the thing I really liked about Mario Kart DS is, I know we're talking about technical racing, is that game, when you power slid, you could actually determine how fast that you got your turbo boost.
Yep.
So I actually played that game so much that I got to the point that you could
snake.
I was able to snake. Like,
I could totally snake.
I was insane at snaking. So like I remember, and another thing I was going to add is, you know, the game, I think it was 8-player, only one cartridge, which was awesome.
Yep.
Like, I remember I was 18, I think, when I was playing this game with my buddies. I was going to Mexico for my 18th birthday over March break, and I had 2 DSs. I had the old original DS and the DS Lite.
The DS Fat, yeah.
So I gave one to my buddy on the plane, because we were all sitting in different spots on the plane. Then the third guy had his own DS, and I put in my Mario Kart, and they synced up with me, and then we played Mario Kart the whole flight, and it was just freaking awesome.
Yep.
So yeah, like, I don't find the levels as memorable in that game, but overall, like, I find the game really technical, and I have a lot of great memories of that one.
Yeah, same here. And I remember when it came out, it felt like that was like one of the first defining experiences of the DS. Not to mention, it had some other neat features, like it had Waluigi and Rob as I guess Waluigi was in Double Dash, so he had already been in Mario Kart, but this was having Rob was really cool. It's the only time I believe Rob has been in a Mario Kart.
Yeah, hasn't been. He wasn't in the Wii, and he isn't. Yeah, I think it's the only one.
And it's also worth mentioning that it was the first time they brought back retro courses. So before Mario Kart DS, every Mario Kart only had 4 cups and 16 tracks. And Mario Kart DS was the first one that kind of opened that up to more tracks by including the retro ones. So yeah, it had an extra group of courses, and worth mentioning, it's the first Mario Kart to go online, which was okay. I remember doing Nintendo online Wi-Fi back then. It was pretty janky, but it was fun.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
And also, like you said, it was. I remember bringing it to school, and I remember in art class we had a full 6+ people playing at a time, and most people had Mario Kart, but we had big races going, and it was really competitive. And we literally art class was Mario Kart DS class. And also worth mentioning, I mean, we talked about the battle mode. I think Mario Kart DS was the last time we had a pretty great battle mode. Because, for one, you had that cool DS level where you're riding on a DS. But also, it was elimination style, where
you could blow up your own balloons again with the mic, right?
That was lame, where you could hold down select, which worked better.
Yeah.
But also, after Mario Kart DS, they moved away from the elimination style balloon battles, and they kind of had this lame point system.
Oh yeah.
And that's really, I think, hampered the entire battle mode since then. And I've literally been clamoring for a elimination style battle mode, and they just won't do it. But yeah, DS was great. And also, the graphics were pretty great for the DS. And I also loved the additional strategy of having that second screen, and not only seeing the map, but seeing what items everybody else had. And there was a real strategy to that. If you could see, you could literally see what someone had behind you and know how to like, deal with your items. I've always looked at the items in like the item management in Mario Kart as it's like its own kind of mini poker game.
Totally. Do you ever do you ever see a blue shell coming up the map and purposely slow down to be in second?
Of course, yeah. And so that's literally a strategy where like if you're in first and there's a good chance there'll be one blue shell per match, you kind of have to make that decision in that first lap. Well, do I hover back and like let second place take it? Or do I get such a commanding lead that it won't matter? And you kind of have to make that decision. And I love that kind of, it's like playing poker. But anyways, Derek, and I should mention that Mario Kart DS and Mario Kart 7 for 3DS to me are pretty close. And I probably could have gone 3DS as my third pick because I really loved Mario Kart 7. I thought it was just really tight. It kind of the modernized the best item balance until 8. But ultimately, I chose DS because I think I agree the snaking was better, was more fun, and also it was it was just awesome to have that on a handheld and have it all the the mission mode, the good battle mode, the online. Yeah. In Mario Kart Super Circuit on a handheld, like I don't love that one. So to have like a 3 polygonal great Mario Kart handheld experience, to me, like Mario Kart DS like defined Mario Kart as a handheld game. Like before that, it was like a console game. You play with your friends around a TV. But after DS, it was like, no, this is an excellent on-the-go game.
Yeah.
Okay, Derek, what was I think I know your first choice. What is it?
Yeah, my number one is very obvious. It's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, of course.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I can't believe we have the same top 3. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, this game is just, it's disgusting how much content there is, and they're still adding more content. I find the game, the actual driving element, it feels the best, the smoothest. The levels are the most interesting. It feels the most balanced. The online is really good as far as Nintendo Online goes, at least. I really don't have a single issue to talk about with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There's really nothing that I would complain about. Yeah, I think it's a perfect game, honestly.
I find the item balancing to be by far the best in the series.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop something right now and say that I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is not only the best Mario Kart game, but I think it's the best racing game of all time. Full stop.
I would agree with that.
I know some people prefer sim racers. F-Zero GX is really great too. But as far as a game that anyone can play that has like polished, great graphics, tons of content, tons of variety, and feels great to play. Like it's easy to learn, tough to master, feels great to play, and the sense of speed, the sense of chaos. Like, I mean, there's just nothing.
Yeah.
There's just nothing better.
Yeah, I agree.
There's those moments when I play online, and you're kind of when you're playing against the CPU, it's easy to like blast ahead and just kind of win. And if you're with a friend, like it's you and your friend and then everybody else. But when you're online, you get these moments where it's like all 12 racers are like really tight together. And it just like totally hits me in that moment where it's like, wow, it's just like the box art where like all the racers are like kind of in this tight cluster of excitement. And like,
yeah,
I don't think that's really materialized until 8 and 8's online mode. And 8 also, I just think the online is beautiful. Like I know people, it stands to have improvements, and we can talk about that later. But in terms of like firing it up, jumping online, having a seamless 60 frames online experience, it's like so easy to do and so quick. And I Mario Kart 8 on Wii U and / Deluxe, it's my most played online game ever. Full stop.
Yeah, doesn't see like nowhere near for me. I do love it. I never got into the online as much as you. Like I played a lot more probably like local co-op or local multiplayer than you did. But yeah, I mean, I love the online. It just wasn't as I like playing with people I know or in the room.
Yeah, I remember just sitting, like when I got it, I would just literally jump online and play match after match after match after match. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you said you had no complaints. I have a couple complaints.
I mean, I'm sure there's stuff I would want to add or like small little things, but overall, like I would give this game a 10 out of 10 if I was a reviewer.
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I would say now in retrospect, yes, a 10 out of 10. But if I was reviewing it at the time it came out, I probably wouldn't give it a 10 because I have some things that I think could stand to be improved.
Okay.
For one, I find that like playing alone, they really should have incorporated something. I mean, yes, the gameplay is so strong, and like the gameplay in and of itself is fun enough, which I love about Nintendo. But I just wish that I like there's some gimme factor of like, okay, every time I do a GP, I'm collecting a little bit of this to get a little more of that, and
Didn't you get carts and stuff?
you get cards and stuff, but it's just not rewarding. It's too random. It's like every 100 coins you get a new cart piece, and then eventually you have them all. And for me,
Give me an example of what you wanted then. I'm just curious.
I don't know, maybe new costumes, or you have to buy new colors, or even if it was a matter of rather than unlocking cart parts arbitrarily, there was like a little Toad shop where you could spend your coins. So you actually had a little more of a, I don't know, the feeling that you're always working towards something. And I don't know, like I'm someone who just likes to have sometimes like reasons to keep going, like arbitrarily. Like even if I'm unlocking art or like a music list or something like, or if it's like Smash Bros where you start off with only 8 characters and then you have to buy them with coins. Like I love that stuff. I love the kind of
Yeah, like Smash Bros. Unlock kind of thing.
yeah, like some sort of feeling of achievement. And it was even worse with Deluxe because Deluxe came out and you had all the characters and you had all the cups from the start. So I just don't really get that sense that I'm like ever really achieving anything. And it'd be cool if like even like in New Super Mario Bros. 2, how you kind of have this endless coin counter. So like you can just play the levels over and over again, and your coin counter just keeps going up and up and up and up. And then when you get to 1,000,000, it like something changes. But I just would love to have Mario Kart 8 have an infinite coin counter. So it's like, yeah, like I've got this many coins. I played this long, you know.
Yeah.
My other complaint about it is that the character selection seems like it kind of went backwards a little bit. Not having Diddy Kong, I don't know what that's all about. Not having Birdo, I don't know what that's all about. And
Yeah, or Funky Kong.
or Funky Kong. And then meanwhile, we've got like Metal Mario, Baby Peach, Baby Luigi,
Rose Gold Peach or whatever.
yeah, and like Tanuki Suit Mario. Like there's a few throwaway characters. I'm still holding out hope that they'll have more characters in this DLC, but I don't.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But
They're working hard on 9 or the next Mario Kart, whatever it is.
oh, we'll talk about that too. But the other thing that I can levy a complaint against it is again the battle mode, which I think is good and I like the modes, but again like make an elimination style balloon battle. There's just the thing about it is that to do it to a 12-person match with 11 other people in a balloon battle is great, but it's like when the numbers get smaller, that's when the intensity goes up. And the general idea is that when you're with 12 people, you're getting more generic items like green shells and bananas. So it's a little more skill based, and when you get to that lower amount of people, it's like you're getting better items and it gets way more tense. And I think it'd just be like really intense. I know, it doesn't really work because they have, with 12 people, you have a big map, and then you have one-on-one in that final map, and it could just be like 2 people in that one map forever if there wasn't like a timer. I get why it doesn't work, and with like the way Nintendo does their player-to-player servers, like it's not they don't have servers that run these maps. It's like running off of someone else's Switch. So it doesn't really work, but I think there was a missed opportunity by not having things like, a better battle mode or mission mode or coins. Like it would have been easy to add that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I agree. There's content that they could add, but I wouldn't fault a game for not having more content in a sense, because I think it already has a substantial amount of content. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's like being like, oh, like I wish the Breath of the Wild lose points because it could have had another 4 temples. It's like, do you mark it down for that, or do you just take it because it already has an insane amount of content that's really, really good? Like,
I just feel like
of course I always want more of the games that are amazing. I want more Mario Kart in every aspect, but I wouldn't write that as a criticism.
Well, I guess for me I would, because it just feels like when you play alone, you just don't have much to accomplish, and getting the gold medals is really, it's just for the sake of seeing that gold medal. I just wish there was something to unlock, and not coin-based cart parts, but really like, oh, get all the golds, you get this, and get all the whatever, you get that. Like, some purpose of it all, and it just feels like they're resting on the laurels of the gameplay, which luckily the gameplay is so strong they can. But let's be honest, every other game out there has some sort of achievement system, especially racing games.
If you look at like Smash Bros. Ultimate, they have an amazing core gameplay just like Mario Kart, but they have an insane amount of things to do and unlockables and challenges. And you're right, I agree.
Totally. So I guess it's less about faulting the game and more about leaving room for improvement.
Yeah.
But that's always been a little bit of a Mario Kart issue. But anyways, Derek, let's talk about our least favorite Mario Kart. And I want
Okay.
I want you to go first and tell me which Mario Kart you like the least.
Okay, so mine was kind of a toss up. I mean, you kind of mentioned one of them as that I think is going to be yours, but I'm not going to pick that one. You're going to probably hate me for what I say. My least favorite is probably Mario Kart Super Mario Kart.
Okay, the original.
For the SNES. And again, I have good memories of it, and it was fun. But I can't. To me, it's unplayable now. It feels slow. The levels feel almost unfair at times. It's all very flat, which I don't like. Once you get to the Mario Kart 64, and you get those ramps and jumps and whatnot, Super Mario Kart just feels very sticky. I've used that word kind of a lot when we talked about like Horizon versus Breath of the Wild. Like you just feel very stuck to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's very old, but it's hard for me to go back, and it just didn't. I don't have the nostalgia like you do. It didn't jive for me very well. Like it didn't play the way I'd want a racer to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just don't think again, not a bad game. I just don't love it the way.
Yeah, I mean,
others.
I think you're being a bit unfair because the game, it is a 30-year-old game, so
I know exactly. I'm just exactly.
So it's always hard to if we're doing our top 10, are we literally just discounting it because it's old?
But the thing is, I didn't really play that game growing up, right? So for me, it's like I put that game. I think the first time I seriously played it was, I want to say on the 3DS. Wasn't that part of the?
No. 3DS never had didn't have Super Nintendo games until new 3DS.
Oh, it wasn't the Ambassador Club. I thought the Ambassador Club had SNES games.
You're right. The Ambassador Club would have had it.
Yeah, so I think I played it on the Ambassador Club.
Okay.
And
No, sorry. No, you would have had Super Circuit on the Ambassador Club. Those Game Boy Advance games.
Okay. Because I remember playing Yoshi's Island on the 3DS. But
that's because they re-released it on the Game Boy Advance. So you played the Game Boy Advance version of Yoshi's Island on 3DS. But it did come out for the Wii Virtual Console.
I don't think I played it for the Wii. I don't remember, again, I don't really know when I played that game too seriously. I just know I didn't play it when you played it because I was way too young. So I just don't my memories of that game are post 64. So
it was 1991. So were you even born?
No, I was born in 92.
So you weren't even born.
Yeah. So I that's what I'm saying. So I just my memories of that game are only after other Mario Karts have come out. So it's like I can only compare it based off, you know what I mean? I don't have that it's a development. It's kind of
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I see. No, I'm not discrediting your answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me the reason Super Mario Kart. I mean, yes, it's a nostalgia thing for me, but I also give it some credit for starting the entire franchise.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was really impressive. That and F-Zero had this kind of Mode 7 racing that was really. It felt like you were racing in 3D. Where every other racing game was practically a bird's eye view racing game. You know what I mean? Or some weird isometric that 5 frames a second thing.
Or
this
Excitebike.
this had this, and also worth mentioning that it invented the kart racer. The whole idea of getting weapons while you're driving is completely from that. And also it's kind of the beginning of Mario building a unit, its own universe outside of the core Mario adventure games. It was no, there's this kind of world where all the characters race together, and I guess for me, and being young, that kind of it took it from just being oh, Mario's going on another adventure like Link would, and kind of made all the Mario friends and world its own place. And
yeah, that's cool.
I don't know if we would have things like Mario Tennis or Mario Party if we didn't kind of start from that spin-off success of Mario Kart.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree and see that point. I totally agree. I think it's a foundational game.
Yes.
So many things are built off of it. For me, the game itself has never been that for me. Mm-hmm. But I agree. The things that it's implemented have echoed
And
across
also,
generations.
some banging music. Like, you know how we think back to Super Mario World and the original F-Zero and A Link to the Past for some of those amazing Super Nintendo chiptune music. They're really, truly, Mario Kart also had amazing chiptune music.
I gotta listen to some because I can't even think of them.
Well, some of the most iconic Mario Kart tracks that are like mixed into deluxe, you're gonna be like, oh wow, like it's so cool to know that this song was actually in the original. You know what I mean? And the other thing is that it's not my least favorite, but I don't see how Super Mario Kart is worse than Super Circuit, because to me Super Circuit is just I think it's well worse, and it's also has that mode 7 graphics, but it's just like unmemorable levels, and it didn't break any new grounds, and
That was the other one that was in my bottom two.
yeah, that's my second least favorite.
I just ended up playing that game more and grew up with that more, and so again I had fonder memories of it.
Yeah, that's kind of it's a nostalgia pick, right?
Yeah, even the handheld aspect of it, right? It's like I remember being on car trips with you and like
With
with
link
our whole
cable.
family. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. My least favorite Mario Kart, I mean, obviously, other than the arcade and tour, is actually Mario Kart Wii.
See, I go back and forth on the Wii. Like there's things I hate about that game, but there's things that I really liked about it too.
I mean, I'll go into why I really don't like it, but I think the reason a lot of people do like it or have a nostalgia for it is simply because it was on such a popular Nintendo console, and it was so popular that like everybody has these memories of playing it. And for a lot of people who are younger than I am, like we're now living in a time when like adults who are in their 20s grew up as children with the Wii. So like ages me
Yeah.
a bit. So I get why for some people like Mario Kart Wii is this great nostalgic thing. Where for me it wasn't as much, I actually, it's funny, I remember when they announced it, and I remember when the Wii was kind of having its first year, and it was that 2007 year where Iwata came out and said, this year we're going to release Metroid, we're going to release Mario Galaxy, and we're going to release Smash Bros. Those are like kind of like the big three on the Wii. Like after Twilight Princess already come out and Wii Sports, and they had some other stuff like Mario Strikers and Paper Mario, Super Paper Mario. But those are the three big ones. It was like all eyes were on Metroid Prime 3, Mario Galaxy, and Smash Bros. Those are the three megas, And, Metroid came out in August and was awesome, and Galaxy came out in November and was awesome. And I remember Smash Bros. Was supposed to come out on December 3rd, and then they delayed Smash Bros. Till next
right?
year, February, and then it got delayed from February to March in North America and came out earlier in Japan. But anyways, like the point of all this was that like my hype for Smash Bros. Brawl was catastrophically huge, like probably bigger than any Smash Bros. Ever. I just was so incredibly hyped up for it, and the fact that Snake was in it, and the graphical jump from Melee to Brawl was significant.
Yeah.
Even though now I think Melee's way better. I still at the time I was like, whoa, and it's online, and it has Sonic, and you're doing the dojo updates every night. Like I stay up until 3 a.m. every night waiting for those updates. And it was kind of like out of nowhere in 2007, I think it was, out of nowhere Nintendo was like, oh, and 1 month after Smash Bros. Comes out, you're also going to get Mario Kart Wii in April. And they just kind of like, it felt like they just kind of farted it out. And I remember the graphics felt like a step down to me from Double Dash. And I think they actually might be in a way, because Double Dash has this kind of vibrant style, and with the Wii version they were trying to pack in 12 players, and they kind of added this weird bloom lighting and the tricks, and I think there might be an argument that Double Dash is a better looking game. So it was just kind of like, okay, I know Wii is not a graphical leap in front of GameCube, but Metroid Prime looks great, looks better. Galaxy looks better. Smash Bros. Looks better. And here we have Mario Kart Wii that feels like a budget release, So that was my big kind of like downer on it. I just wasn't really that excited to play it, especially like even the thought that it came out 1 month after Smash Bros. Like that would never happen now.
Yeah.
They'd be
Yeah.
like a whole year apart. But also, I just thought the item balancing in Mario Kart Wii was completely broken. And the control, I was not really a fan of the motion controls either. And it just didn't land for me. I really don't, I really think the item balancing was off. Like they had way too many items to help last place players.
Yeah.
And yeah, just, I just don't,
Yeah, like for me, I have the same qualms that you do with the game. I don't think the balancing was good. I hated the motion controls. Um, a lot of the levels aren't memorable, but I also think it did a lot of things that are now kind of staples to the franchise. They had this insanely huge roster. They did add tricks. They
Yep. 12 players.
12 players is the one I was going to talk about. Yeah, so 12 players I think is such an awesome addition. And it did have online. I know the handheld one had online too, but I just have a lot of memories of playing that, and I think that was the first game that had motorcycles too. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it did.
So I just think there were some interesting things that were added that I think are good additions, and there's merit and value there. And like you said, I remember going to any of my friends' houses, any of them, and we all played Mario Kart. Everyone knew how to play. Like I remember playing with my buddy David, and he's not good at video games, but that's the game he played like crazy. So when I went to his house, he and I actually like were on the same level. Where for most video games with my friends, I would just crush them. So it was nice to actually like play a game that everyone had played a significant amount of time before. So yeah, I actually agree with you. I was humming and hawing about this one because, it does have so many faults. Like Mario Kart Wii, like playing alone, it never felt good. Mm-hmm. And it's probably one of the only markers where I don't think I got all the gold trophies or whatever because it just didn't feel.
Yeah, you get pummeled if you're ahead, right? And
exactly.
The items.
It can get frustrating. It's like, and that's the last thing you kind of want in a racing game is to just feel like it's bullshit when you don't win.
Yeah.
But again, there's so many positive things that I think were good ideas that they've now developed further to be great ideas in Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like overlook those,
For sure, and I think there's a big factor here for both of us, and probably for a lot of people, is like where were you in what place in time when these Mario Karts came out? Because if you're in college and you're playing with your buddies all the time and laughing and having a great time, like that's where I am with Mario Kart 64 as a kid. Where for me with Mario Kart Wii, like my kind of memory is that like I was kind of falling off of Nintendo at that point and getting more into Xbox and PS3, and also just that like it just feels weird that from the very beginning of Mario Kart, since I saw it in that video rental store, I like was such a huge fan of the series in every release, and I just had no excitement for Wii. And then once the 3DS version came out later, like I was right back on, and now I'm like, I'm this huge fan of this series, and then there's just this one black hole in the middle of the series that almost made me feel like this is over for me. Like I'm over this series now. Meanwhile, it's like at the time it's the most popular Mario Kart Wii ever, like combined. So like, I just kind of wasn't part of that. Culture, I guess you could say. But yeah, interesting. I mean, I think it goes. I always say it goes to say that if people have such a variety of what they love and don't love in these Nintendo lineups, like it goes to show how high the quality really is. That there's not like a unanimously worst Mario Kart or unanimously worst 3D Zelda and Skyward Sword. But.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when you talked about Mario Kart Wii being the black hole, I was thinking of Skyward Sword a little bit. But I was gonna say, I think it's a real testament to Nintendo games just in general that the fact that they really do work for any age, and as you said, depending on the age that you played it, any game in any of their franchises could be someone's favorite game.
Yeah.
Right. Like to me, like Pokemon, the original Pokemons are like some of the best games ever. But there are kids that are playing like Pokemon Sun and Moon, and those games will go down in history as like their pivotal like growing up game.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for all of their big franchises, all the games in those series. Someone has that as their favorite game, and I think it's a testament of how solid, even though it might not be our favorite game, of how solid Nintendo makes each of those games throughout their history.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually funny. I was on set the other day, and we were kind of sitting around talking about Mario because we're all Nintendo fans, and someone said, my favorite is Mario Sunshine. I love. He was just like, I love how like it's a theme in a world. And this other guy was like, well, Mario Sunshine's not my favorite. I love 64. That's the classic. And he goes, but I don't care for Galaxy. It did nothing for me. And I'm like, well, I think Galaxy's my number one, and Sunshine's not my favorite. And like we all like had these such a variety of answers that we were all kind of like, isn't it such a great franchise that we still love your least favorite? You know.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to Mario Kart. Before we get into like talking about the future of Mario Kart, is there any other kart racing or similar style racing games that you've ever gotten into over the years?
So I mean, I think the obvious answer is Diddy Kong Racing. I played that a fair bit, but the one that I played probably the most recently that I could talk about is Crash Bandicoot Nitro or whatever it was.
Crash Team Racing, right? The
Yeah, it was on PlayStation Plus, so I played it. It's actually a really fun game. I enjoyed it a lot. There's again, it doesn't feel as nice as Mario Kart. There's definitely a differentiation there, and it doesn't feel as smooth. But there are some things that are really enjoyable with the game. And again, it's nice to have a different kart racer out there. So I think it was just that and Diddy Kong Racing as far as like those kind of zany games go.
It's funny. I'm the exact same way. I played Diddy Kong Racing. I don't know if we ever had it on C4. I think we just rented it.
No, we owned it.
We owned it. Okay, and I remember. I don't know if we owned it. Did we? Maybe after a long time we did.
I'm pretty sure we did.
I just remember we rented it, and I remember our neighbor Jacob. He like was amazing at it and like had 100% of it. And I remember being like, "Wow, you've 100%." It's a hard game. Like it's.
I know the bosses are so hard,
and it has like all these things like you redo levels to get challenges. It's funny like. I really wish Mario Kart took a page from the single player content of Diddy Kong Racing because Diddy Kong Racing is almost the opposite, where the single player content's so good, but the multiplayer I don't really have any memories of playing with friends in Diddy Kong Racing.
Mm-hmm.
It almost feels like it's not balanced around playing with friends. It's more balanced around
the adventure mode. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I always had an issue with Diddy Kong Racing. For one, it didn't have any real sense of speed, and the flying didn't feel great. The items didn't feel great.
Yeah, the items are kind of lackluster. Yeah.
And it also just like other than Diddy Kong and Banjo, like who are these characters? You know, like I don't know.
I mean, Conker was in there.
Yeah, Conker's in there like before we knew who Conker was, before they turned him into like a, But other than those three, it was just kind of like I don't know who these people are. But I've played Crash Team Racing. I played a little bit on PlayStation at friends' houses, but I've actually played the modern one. I think it's awful. I think the controls are awful. I think the learning curve is not fun. The power sliding is not fun. I think the just like. Crash Bandicoot as a game, like there's just something that feels off about it.
I agree. I had fun with it, but I agree with it doesn't feel, those games don't feel
good,
smooth and tight. Yeah, exactly. They feel like you don't have control the way you want. It feels stiff. I don't know.
I think it speaks to Nintendo's design philosophy, where like for something like Mario Kart 8 especially, it's almost like they figured out how to make racing feel good and fun and tight in like a very boring gray scale nothing course first, and then design the game around those control mechanics. Where a game like Crash Bandicoot, they're like, oh, like look at all these concept art for all these crazy worlds and characters and unlockables, and then they didn't like. It's not like the game feel was first and foremost.
Yeah.
And I mean, it even goes. You look at Mario Odyssey versus Crash Bandicoot 4, and it's the same.
Nintendo as a whole, right? Like if you look at most of their games, they just feel good to play. Even if they're simple graphics or simple design, they're fun to play. They feel good. You want to keep playing them. But if you go to games like, I'm going to pick Assassin's Creed, for example, they are this huge world that has all this stuff and all these things to do. But it's like, is it really fun hour to hour to play that game? Like, I don't know. I guess that's for our listeners to decide.
You're exactly right. And the only other, literally the only other developer that I would say I think puts as much effort into game feel first is probably Bungie. Because Bungie, between Halo 1, 2, 3 and Destiny 1 and 2, like the way those shooters feel to play is like head and shoulders above other shooters.
I think Capcom has some. I think they have some faults, but I think Capcom does a pretty good job of it too.
Yeah, especially now with the way they've done Resident Evil. The modern Resident Evils feel great to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agree. But yeah, that's for me like. And Platinum Games too, but for me, game feel is probably the most important thing in a game, and that's why I gravitate towards Nintendo so much.
Yeah.
Anyways, Eric, so look, in terms of the future of Mario Kart, online there's a lot of talk, and it's funny because, on one hand, I see a lot of people who are like, oh, Nintendo must already be working on Mario Kart 9, and how come they're not? They must have it already finished. Like, people are so convinced that Mario Kart 9 is around the corner,
Yeah.
where I don't feel that way at all. What do you think?
I think it'll be 2025. And it'll be on the next Switch successor.
Interesting. Okay.
I just mean, well, I mean, we have Mario Kart 8 courses coming out till the end of 2023, and I don't know. Do you think they'll just after 2023 they're going to announce it and have the new game come in 2024? I don't know.
I think if anything, it'll be maybe even a little longer, because by the time Mario Kart finishes its DLC run at the end of 2023, that they'll probably want to have a year or two of just other stuff.
Getting sales of that too.
Yeah, and I don't doubt that by then there'll be a Switch Pro, and they'll even release like a Game of the Year edition with all the DLC plus it's maybe 4K. I think they'll milk it. Mm-hmm. And I think also with Smash Bros, I think Nintendo's in this position where they've kind of made the ultimate Smash Bros and the ultimate Mario Kart, and they really should
just carry those games forward.
Pretty much go like a decade and just re-release them in 4K and Game of the Year editions in 4K, and
add content if they can. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe they don't even need to add content, right? Like maybe it is a matter of like some sort of upgrade plan for people who have it already, and people can buy the Game of the Year edition. I don't know, but I just don't see a need for a Mario Kart 9 anytime. In the next 7 or 8 years, and I would much rather. I know it's like they're gonna want to use it to sell more consoles, because I mean, on a Switch Pro or a Switch 2, a Mario Kart Game of the 8 Deluxe Game of the Year edition, like everyone's already gonna have that game, right? It's not gonna be that exciting. Mm-hmm. I doubt it's gonna like sell another 50 million copies. You know what I mean? So It's kind of like, where do they go from there? But I also feel like it gives them the unique opportunity to focus on another racing game, which could be a new Diddy Kong Racing or a new F-Zero, which will bomb. But my hope for the future of the Mario Kart team is that they actually are working on a Diddy Kong Racing. Kart races are super popular, and there's just no reason why Nintendo can't have two of them. Would that have different kind of design aesthetics?
I mean, I agree with you. I don't think Nintendo would ever do that, though. I think they would. They're very careful about. They're the most careful company as far as what their IPs are doing, and making sure they have unique. And they're kind of like, I just could never see them doing that.
Well, you just never know. I mean, they did bring back Donkey Kong Country, and they did bring back Pokemon Snap, even though Namco developed it. Like, I can see them doing a Diddy Kong Racing, but I think the thing that I'm also not keeping in mind is a game like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It probably took a huge development time and effort and planning and the graphics. Like it's not like they can just like poop out a kart racing game. Like it's a lot of development time, and I'm not so sure Diddy Kong Racing could even sell 5 million copies. So they might just look at it that way.
It's not just that. Even if it did sell 5 million or whatever, they would look at it and say, well, instead of making it Diddy Kong, if we just switch all the characters to Mario and call it Mario Kart, it won't sell 5 million, it'll sell 30 million.
Yeah, I mean, but I was also hoping that maybe if they did make a Diddy Kong Racing, it'd be like they'd have the DK line, like all the DK characters, but then they would throw like Mario and Paulina and like some of the characters who tie into Donkey Kong a little bit. So
but I just mean, but at that point, like they would just name it Mario Kart, because Mario Kart is just an established franchise that will sell 20 million more copies.
But
I get business. Who cares? Like at the end of the day, the name will be Mario Kart.
I know you're right, but at the same time, like they could announce the Diddy Kong Racing that comes out at the end of next year, and it's more about flying and switching vehicles and single player, this and that, and just have two of them. You know what I mean? And rather than, because the moment Mario Kart 9 comes out, it's going to cut off the sales of Mario Kart Deluxe. So why not have another kart racing franchise? Like it's such a big genre that's untapped. I think there really is room for another one.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't disagree. I just don't think Nintendo will do it.
Yeah, I agree. But there's also worth wondering, like, is is it possible that they'll go in a different direction with Mario Kart? And I know we've talked about this before and speculated, like maybe they take like a Burnout Paradise style approach, where it's like an open concept kind of world and more of an adventure single player experience, or maybe it's like a battle royale with like 40 players and a giant battle mode map. Like, are there alternative ways that they can take this series other than just another 50 tracks and 16 cups kind of game?
So again, I don't mean to be the pessimist, and I think that would be awesome, and I hope they do. But knowing Nintendo and knowing how much of a staple franchise this is to them, they will not deviate from what sells. They won't take a risk on this franchise. Like, they're not even taking risks on Splatoon. Like, I know we talked about Splatoon before. They're not throwing all these crazy new ideas out there, because what is already they're doing is selling. Pokemon doesn't reinvent the wheel every generation or any generation.
Well, Pokemon is a little bit different because it's a different developer.
I mean, Nintendo owns 1/3 of Game Freak.
But I just mean when it comes to Splatoon and Mario Kart, like that's Nintendo EAD internal, like first party, where Pokemon is just the Pokemon company. It's completely different developers.
Okay, but all I'm trying to say is that if they have a 50 million franchise, they're not going to say, "Oh, let's try something that we've never done before in this franchise." From a business sense, that doesn't make any sense. They're going to say, "Well, we should make the exact, very similar kind of thing because we know people love it, people will buy it, and it's safe. If we do something wrong and it doesn't go well, we just lost our 50 million franchise. Let's keep doing the same thing until we see that the sales aren't what we want it to be."
Yeah, I'm not suggesting they all out like Mario Kart 9 is like a completely different game, but could they release like a $20 Mario Kart Battle Royale that's eShop only, or a Mario Kart Adventure that's a more single player big world experience? That's not. It's almost like a spin-off. Like the Mario Kart franchise is so big, they almost have a complete spin-off of the
Mario Kart. So Mario Kart. Mario Kart already in a way is a spin-off to the Mario franchise, and now we're making a spin-off to the spin-off.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, yeah. Think of it this way: like with Splatoon 2, they released the Octo expansion. Like, could they release a giant single player content for Mario Kart? Like, could they do something like that?
I think it's kind of. It's like we're being a little bit, and I agree with you. Like, we're being a little bit of Nintendo fanboys here, where it's like all these ideas would work and could work, and we'd love them. But from a business stance, they would look at this and go, "Why would we spend time and money in development on something that we could do something else that would sell way more?" Like, why would they do a single player Mario Kart when they know that the thing that sells is what they're doing right now?
Yeah, you're right. So I guess so let's put our feet in the sand here. Where you think that they'll have a new, like, what's your prediction? You think Mario Kart 9 and it'll be so tell me this. I got to clear my head here. What's the name going to be? When's it going to come out? And tell me what you think the game's going to be. Like, will there be a new gimmick, or will it be a carbon copy? Like, what'll be new? And what do you think?
So I think it'll be Mario Kart 10. I think they've established that tour is a pretty significant part of the franchise now. So I think it'll be Mario Kart 10. Have a different name altogether, Mario Kart something. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be very similar to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where it's course based, and there probably will be a new mechanic, just like there's underwater or tricks or the parasailing or whatever. Anti-grav. Like, I think there'll be something like that, but it won't be insanely pivotal. I think, and my hope is that they'll focus a lot more on online and just kind of the robustness. Like, maybe there is kind of like a Splatoon hub for online, or maybe there are race teams where you're in a race club and you collect points for your club. Or you guys all have the same banners, or there's big team battles that happen in kind of like battle fests on a weekend, just like Splatoon. Like, I think they can maybe make that kind of stuff happen.
I love that. I love that idea. By the way, I think that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I think that would be the best push they could do, because again, I think they recognize their multiplayer is doing insanely well for that game. People love the online for it. They love the racing. They love the feel for it. They don't need to do all this crazy stuff that they never tried before. They just need to make that stuff better, and I think the way they make that better is just a really more robust online mode.
Yeah, you know what? I almost think I agree exactly with you. We already have team racing in Mario Kart, but it's not smart enough to not shoot a red shell at your own team. Like, so I think there are maybe little ways they can make the team racing more exciting. And no, I think you're right. I think they'll drop the number system. I think they'll call Mario Kart Championship Championship Edition, or I don't know. Not that
Such
name.
a bad name.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I think including some of those Splatoon 3 or 2 kind of quality of life improvements and giving it a little more of a community and a hub and customizing your cart and making it, I think that could be where it goes. And I agree. It'll probably be like, maybe a Christmas 2025 game on Switch Pro.
Yeah.
And we'll probably see it, E3-ish time, 2025.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for dates and stuff.
I do feel like with Mario Kart, I need 8 to run its course with the rest of these courses, and then I need to get a little tired. Like I need to miss it. You know what I mean? Before I get really excited for it.
Yeah, if it comes out let's say early or mid 2024, right after the DLC is done, I won't be as hyped as if it waited another year or so.
Yeah, and I think Nintendo knows that. Even though I do think that whoever's making these new tracks in Mario Kart is like not their A team. It's their B team putting in B team effort. So I don't know. Maybe their A team's working on something else. Maybe their A team's working on Mario Kart 9. Yeah, and I agree. Like I don't know what they could do gimmick wise that wouldn't be too out there. I don't think they'll go back to 2 racers per cart, and I don't think they'll do something like aiming the shells like with a second analog or anything like that. But I do think you're right that it'll have like more community features, more replay features, more share features, like picture mode.
I think there will be a new racing gimmick though. I think it'll be small, the same way that Gravity is. But again, if you look at all their golf games, their tennis games, their Pokemon games. Again, I know it's a different developer, but they always have one new gimmick. Right? Mario Kart 2.
You know what I think the gimmick will be is that they'll include many more Nintendo franchises.
Yeah, I could see it being Mario Kart Universe.
Yeah.
And it's not only the universe of characters, but like there's a lot more crazy kind of space stuff, and the worlds that you go through are like there's just a lot more kind of, it's not so grounded in the Mario Earth. It's like you can go to like some crazy places.
Yeah, I mean, some people have speculated they're gonna call it like Nintendo Kart, but I really don't think they will. I think they're gonna have to keep the Mario Kart brand name.
Yeah, I think Mario Kart Universe would be good.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely room for Kirby, Captain Falcon, Olimar, and it could just be one level, one kart, and one character from each of these games. And it'd just be awesome. I mean, how they've included Link and Zelda, and how they've included Animal Crossing, it's awesome. So more of that, All right. Well, I mean, I guess that concludes our Mario Kart chat.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But anyways, let's talk about what we've been playing a little bit, because I've been playing a lot of games.
Okay, do you want to go first?
Well, I have 6 games to talk about.
Okay, I have just one. I think you've been playing it too. I mean, I have Nioh, and then the game that I think we both are going to talk about.
Okay, I'll go first. I'll talk about some of the ones I played. The less exciting ones. Keep playing Devil May Cry 5. Just droning through it. At this point, like it's like now a 7 out of 10, soft 7.
I find it like, again, I understand that Bayonetta is way more crazy with your ideas. I just am surprised that you love Bayonetta so much and find that game fell flat.
The controls, I just don't feel like I'm breaking combos out in the same, like, the thing with Bayonetta is that I feel like I'm constantly like learning new combos. Like I can pick it up and play it, and because I've unlocked all the combos, if you kind of just mash buttons in different orders, like you're gonna see new crazy shit. Where in Devil May Cry 5, I feel like it's because I haven't unlocked everything, but it just feels a little like there's less moves and less. It doesn't feel like I'm stringing together the moves the same way.
You should watch like a professional like play that game, that like the ones who have like triple S crazy combo videos. the stuff they do is like you're like, how the hell did they even do those moves?
Well, yeah, I should watch some of that, and I have gotten to some of those things where I'm like juggling in the air, right? Like I'm like using the grapple hook, bringing in the air, hitting them, grabbing
Throwing them to
another
the
guy.
ground, pulling them back. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just feel like the actual like sword play itself, like I'm not able to like do tons of different sword moves. And I've unlocked all the characters now, and I think by far my favorite is the one, I can't remember his name, but he like controls
V.
a
The new guy.
yeah, he controls like a tiger and a falcon.
Yeah, V.
And then he has to finish them off, and that's honestly, it feels like that kind of like feels a little bit like Astral Chain to me.
Okay.
Where like you're doing some moves and you're finishing him, and honestly, that was the highlight of me, was playing as him.
That's the character I told you to let me know what you thought of when you played him.
Yeah,
He's cool.
really,
it's just an interesting way to play.
yeah, I really dig that character. I just don't have much of a care for the other two, and I just don't like the. You know what? The thing I really don't like is I really don't find this. I mean, obviously the story's nothing to me, but the environments are so boring, and I feel like I'm just in this like weird fleshy kind of pit for like half the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I'm just going from room to room fighting the same enemies. Like there doesn't feel like there's a huge enemy variety either.
I would say that's true for Bayonetta, but
Oh, I don't think no, I disagree. Bayonetta 2, I feel like there's every mini boss is like a new thing. And in Devil May Cry, it's like I feel like I can count the number of enemies I've fought on like two hands, barely. So I don't know. It's like mindless fun, but I really just feel like I'm going from room to room to room, and I think the one thing that with Bayonetta I mean, essentially these character action games are similar in that you're basically going from place to place and kind of getting trapped in an arena to fight guys. But in Bayonetta, they kind of, at least number 2, they hide it a lot more because you're, on a wave that's crashing through ancient Rome, or you're on a jet flying through a city, you're on a train that's exploding, and kind of the environments feel crazier. Where I don't get any of that in Devil May Cry. Like in Bayonetta, it's like insane. Like there's moments where like you're controlling this giant god in the background, like falling through an interdimensional portal and fighting, and it's just insane. Where Devil May Cry, I'm like kind of walking from one fleshy pit room to the next.
yeah.
And I honestly don't understand how the game is so loved. Devil May Cry 5. I just don't.
I mean, I liked it. I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I found the combat pretty good.
Yeah. Anyways, it's okay. I'm gonna keep going because of that. The other game that's I don't have much to talk about is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection.
Okay, you mentioned this to me by text. Yeah.
Yeah. So I bought it, and I had to have it. But it was funny. Like I bought it because I was like, it's almost like a lot of these games are like lost in time for me. Like I can't get my hands on some of these games in any other way. So it's almost this amazing ability to play these. Like I mentioned before, the amazing ability to play games that I have no way to get.
It's just so interesting because you bought that game digitally, right?
Yeah, and
It's just so interesting because, like, I don't know.
I know
you're gonna lose that game to time eventually.
Why?
Well, like, I mean, unless you keep moving your Switch account every time you buy a Switch. I just mean, like, to not have physical means you don't really have the.
I will. Well, here's the thing. Like with 3DS, for example, like I have my 3DS loaded up with all those games, and like I will never sell that 3DS. Like I know that's the end stop for 3DS games, but then I just hold on to my new 3DS forever and keep those games downloaded. They're all on a micro SD. Like there's no, and it doesn't do online checks, so it's like there's no real reason that'll go away. And if the Switch rate reaches that point, like. I mean, life is only so long, right? I'm going to die eventually. I only need to hold my Switch for, 30, 40 more years, and I'm dead. But the point is, like, if Switch runs to a point where, like, let's say Nintendo goes out of business even, or Switch 2 comes out, and they're like, okay, Switch 2 doesn't play any Switch games, or that Nintendo's like, we're all in on VR. And I'm not going to sell my Switch. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just like where back in the day, like I don't have a Super Nintendo to play those Super Nintendo cartridges anymore, and they don't even connect to a TV anymore. Like I don't have the composite adapters to plug it in. Where with Switch, like it's HDMI, and HDMI will probably be future proof for the rest of our lives, if not for multiple decades, right? So. I do feel like buying this collection is like buying it to sit in my collection for the rest of my life. And it's almost like I'm not super excited to jump in and play these games, but I have them now, and on a rainy day or when I'm traveling, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. And it's also just a big nostalgia rush. Like, it's playing I remember the original NES or the original NES Ninja Turtles. Like, we played that at our cousin's place. Like, Uncle Jim's kids had it on the NES. You were probably a baby. You don't remember this. So I remember
I don't remember that game at all.
that's my first experience with any video games. Like, I remember watching them play Mario 3 and Zelda, and it blew me away. And also playing Ninja Turtles. And so it's like, it's weird. Like, I almost didn't remember these memories. And also, when I briefly had a Game Boy when I was young, like near the tail end of the Game Boy's life. And I had like one Ninja Turtles game, and it was one that's on this collection. So it's like, whoa, like it's so weird to like have these weird, almost like nostalgia memory rushes that you don't even remember.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone, it's an awesome collection. But I would say you can probably wait till the price drops because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
Anyways, Derek, what have you been playing?
So one of the games I've been playing is I'm almost done is Nioh. I know I talked about it last session.
The first one, right?
The first one. So I'm almost done the first one. Actually, I'm now on the DLC. So I beat the base game. I'm playing through some of the DLC. I really, really like the game. Now that I've kind of played through it, there are some things that I don't love about it. Like, it does feel a little cheap, and some of the bosses feel a little unfair or bullshit, or like I don't know, because you haven't played all the Souls games, and Elden Ring doesn't do this too bad, because you can always run away. But sometimes in this game, it's a little bit like, oh, you're ambushed by 4 guys, and it's hard enough to fight 1 or 2 at the same time. But like, it's just so hard to dodge and get a hit in that it feels a little bit like they purposely overwhelmed you to make it like depressingly hard.
Yeah.
Which isn't very fun or fair. So it feels a little bit less skilled those moments. It's just kind of like you grind out the win, or you find some tactic that gets you through.
So have you beaten it now?
I've beaten the main game. I still have, I think, 4 or 5 levels of the DLC to beat.
Okay. What's it sitting like on a out of 10 scale for you?
Probably like an 8.3. Like, I don't think it's as high as an 8.5, but I think it's at least in the 8 category.
Okay, so well below the From Software games.
Most of them, yeah. I mean, like, there's some dark. I would say Dark Souls 2 is like an 8 point, a little bit lower, around the same. Like, again, Nioh is really good, but yeah, there's some issues I have with it. I heard Nioh 2 by most people is just like, it's better in every single way, so I'm excited to eventually get to that. But I think I'll do a palate cleanse with Splatoon and Call of Duty or whatever before I go back into Nioh 2.
And then there's Wolong coming out early next year by the same team.
Guys. And it's funny because I was watching the gameplay trailer that came out last week of Wolong, and it looks very similar. Just, it's hard to explain because, again, you haven't really played those From games, but the fighting is a little bit different, where the From games feel like every attack really has meaning, where this game feels a little bit more like, when you clip through stuff in a game, like you can like walk through a chair or a table.
Yeah.
This game kind of feels like that, where like your sword swipe, it hits them, but it also feels like it goes through them no matter what.
Okay.
Like, so it kind of allows for a faster combat, because it's kind of like it's just fluid, fast moves, but it gives a little bit more of airiness, like, and floatiness to the combat, where I find the From games are a lot more, that swipe had a lot of purpose and meaning.
Like
it's
crunch,
kind of a weird,
almost like crunchiness,
yeah, it's weird to explain, but anyways, they're fun. They are kind of that weird hybrid of, the Devil May Cry or the Ninja Gaiden meets From. Like, it's kind of this in between where it doesn't really feel like either of them.
I see. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I like it. All right, you go. Your turn.
And I know what your other game is. Let's talk about that one last, because I played a lot of it now too.
Okay.
The other game that I actually kind of started playing a little bit today was Immortals: Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, I've beaten the whole game.
I gotta say, like, I don't know if I'm gonna play this anymore. I played for about, I don't know, 25 minutes. What the equivalent of like an E3 demo would be. And I just, like, the moment I got to like a vantage point and looked around the map, and things started to like ding ding da ding ding ding, chest ding ching chest here ding ding, and I'm like, oh my god, like, that does not seem fun. The combat
is better than Breath of the Wild combat.
better in a way, but also feels so like generic in a way. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like I know there's more moves, and I like the parry move, and the visuals are great.
I
But
think it's a
there's
little bit of your fanboyism.
well, no, but I think there's something like with for example with I mean I don't know if I haven't unlocked everything yet, and that's part of it. But with Zelda, there's a Breath of the-
25 minutes in, you've unlocked literally nothing.
yeah, but
Literally
a
nothing.
lot of games give you a pretty good taste of things early on. Like it's not like oh you barely see what the game's like.
No,
But
yeah, you've unlocked nothing though.
where in Breath of the Wild, even though like the sword combos aren't as interesting in that sense, like you can like pick up a boulder and drop it on someone or light them on fire and turn them on each other. Like there's all this like AI mechanics, and you can play from a distance and like kind of scout on a camp. I don't know if any of that's gonna
Those all exist in this game.
okay well maybe
And then there's so many more combo things that you get later on. Like you got to do some of this. Like again, you can play or not play. I don't really care. But there are things about the game that are similar to, or almost identical to Breath of the Wild, but are better than Breath of the Wild.
I don't
like
doubt.
You should do some of the shrines. Like just do some of the shrines, just because some of the puzzles are just good. Like I mean, again, it's up to you, but it really is just a Breath of the Wild again, but with some things better and some things worse. Like you gave it 25 minutes, you got to give it a little bit of a chance.
Yeah, I guess I'm just it's with Ubisoft. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt.
You don't need to collect everything on the map. Just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and I guess the other thing too is like the art style and music and I mean the graphics are good and competent. 60 frames, it feels fine to play, but I'm not really lured in by the art style, like the kind of like cartoon Greek mythology art style, with like the sarcastic voiceover. Like it just kind of makes me cringe a little bit, and I'm just like, where with Breath of the Wild, like I feel like I'm brought into this magic world, and I don't know if that's just my bias towards the franchise.
I think it is.
But I honestly do think there's something to be said about like the art style and the cohesive art style of Zelda. I would say is way better than Immortals Phoenix Rising.
100%. I agree with that. And again, I'm not trying to say Breath of the Wild is the worst game, because it is a landslide better game. And there are many things that Breath of the Wild is better. I just think for someone that loves Breath of the Wild so much as you do, it's worth giving that game even 5 hours just to see if there are things that are like, oh, like this is very similar to Breath of the Wild, but it's something that I would love to see in Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah, I'll keep at it.
To me, there's just some, again, you don't have to play the whole 30 or whatever plus hour game it is, but I would play enough just to kind of get an idea of because I would love to talk to you about this on like a real podcast and just kind of dissect the things that, what worked, or why did Breath of the Wild work on these things, and why, and what things could they improve on based on these other, a game that's so similar to it.
Well, let me ask you, in Immortals Phoenix Rising, like, are there towns? Like, are there NPCs? Is there, like, a sense that we're exploring a real world, or am I exploring a game environment? Like,
There's no towns, I don't think. There are definitely NPCs, but yeah, it's a little bit different. But again, like I don't find Breath of the Wild has that many towns where I'd be like, oh, there's so many towns in this game.
There's probably more towns in Breath of the Wild than every other 3D Zelda combined. Like literally, like there's like a good amount of towns in Breath of the Wild. There's at least 10. Not including little camps and cottages and straggling NPCs. Where like I don't think there's not a lot of towns in Breath of the Wild.
No, yeah, you're right. I think Breath of the Wild does a good job. I don't think of towns when I think of like a pinnacle moment. Anyways, no. The answer is, if you're comparing towns to towns, Breath of the Wild does that much better.
I guess my point is that when I look at something like Breath, like I struggle with open world games. Like I don't really play a lot of them. But the ones that I have gotten really into, which are Breath of the Wild, GTA, and Red Dead Redemption, they all give me a real sense of place where I really feel like I'm simulating living in, like, exploring this real world.
Yeah, you won't feel that in this game.
Okay.
But again, for that reason alone, if that doesn't grab you, don't play the whole game. But give that game a couple of hours just to experience the content of the game and see what would work and what doesn't.
Yeah, and I really know at some point you can fly, so I really want to get that ability.
Do some like I would say do some small shrines and do like one or two of the big main shrines or something.
Okay.
And then just call it there and just see what you like.
Okay, I'll keep at it.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, the thing on Xbox Series X, for one, it's free, but it's also 60 frames and it looks really nice. So it's like that's one thing that it's such a clean looking game in terms of technical presentation.
Like that game, it really had my hooks in me. Like I play that game like 8 hours a day some days. Like,
I guess where I'm
good.
at though, I'm just a little worried with the season of games coming. Like I don't have time to really like play everything and anything.
Yeah, you don't play very many games in general, so.
But gaming season is coming. I can feel like I go through seasons, right? Like I'll go through entire months and swaths of time where I like almost play nothing, and then I go through like hardcore gaming moments, right? So
yeah, it's just like again, this isn't a criticism to you because I know you're busy and you watch a bunch of movies and play other stuff. But it's like the fact that you haven't beaten Elden Ring. Most Elden Ring players would be like appalled by that.
But you know what? I bet like well less than 50% of people who bought that game have beaten it. And also, I have put 70 hours into it. Like, it's not like I've not invested a lot of time.
I know, but that's what I'm kind of saying. It's like, at this point, like, how come you can't just finish it? It's like, you're so close to the end.
It's just that daunting feeling of, and I guess I've been warned by you and others that, like, there's just frustrating blocks at the end where I'm, like, going to get to bosses that I hate and won't get through.
You'll be fine. The fact that you're using summons, you'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I will beat it. So I have...
Keep going with your games.
Okay, so I have 3 more games on my list. So I played Resident Evil 4 VR the other day at my friend's. On his, I don't even know which, Oculus, I think it was. And so I haven't done a ton of VR in my life. This is probably like my 4th VR experience. And I've got to say, like, when I first started playing, I was like blown away. Like blown away so much it was almost like having a Mario 64 moment where I'm like, whoa, like this is blowing my fucking mind, you know? Like because the way it works is it actually tracks your steps you take. So you are actually walking, and my friend has a pretty big open space, so I was able to like walk fully around, and like it's like I walked back to where the guys, when they drop you off at the beginning, the 2 drivers, and like walked back to the car and like leaned my head in the window and like went right up to his face, and it was just really kind of incredible. But then you kind of run into this, and like it's amazing. Like I can fully turn. It's like you fully turn around, and there's things behind you. You're there. Like you are fully there. But I think the main disconnect for me was that the way to move is like you can move with like an analog stick, and I think it kind of gives motion sickness. So a lot of people do this kind of warping motion, where you like point to the ground and then you like warp to where that spot is. And I know like that's how they did it in Half-Life Alyx as well, but I also know that Half-Life Alyx, the whole game was tailored around that style, where like you kind of warp to a point, have a little bit of a gameplay there, and you warp to another point. Like it's where Resident Evil's not really like that. It's most like you're always on your feet, you're always stepping backwards and stepping forwards and running and getting a new vantage point. And there was such a disconnect of like pointing to an area and warping there that like almost instantly took me out of the game as soon as I had to start playing it, if that makes any sense. Like, as soon as I started getting attacked by guys and fighting them, like, yeah, there's this awesome, like, you're swinging the knife and you're really shooting them. It feels great, but I don't know. It's like this warping motion, like, it feels like you can, for one, cheese the hell out of the game because you insta-warp, right? So you can just, like, warp away, warp anywhere, warp, like, point behind them and warp there, warp through them. And it's like you can really cheese it. And also, it really disconnects you to make it feel like some sort of light gun shooter. And there is this thing you can buy. My friend was showing me. It's like what it is. It's like a circular pad, and you stand on it, and you can actually like walk and run, and it means that you could actually like walk through the whole game. And it like ties you to a safety. It looks ridiculous. Like it ties you to this safety restraint, and you're like kind of hard.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen these.
Hard, but it allows you to like walk through the game, and I think that would change it for me and really be awesome. But this thing is like over $1,200 just for like a walking pad, so it's just a little bit goofy. And when you see someone doing it, it like almost looks like it looks ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm mixed about it. Like on one hand, it's so incredible and scary and like you're really there, but on the other hand there's this like great disconnect that I'm not quite over. And certain things like the original game, even in its re-released, is really designed around being like a limited perspective, 16:9. You can't really like look straight up and straight down, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like all these problems start to appear where like you'll be like, wow, it looks real, but then you look kind of like up to the left and it's just like a polygon mountain and nothing, you know. And it really kind of removes you from it if you kind of look away from where you're supposed to look. So I'm kind of mixed. Like for one, it made me go from when I first started playing it to, wow, I need to run out and buy one of these instantly. And in about 5 minutes, I'm like, I don't think so. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Yeah.
The other game I played before we'll talk about Immortality is I played the Splatoon 3 Splatfest demo.
Right.
And this time was nice. It was for a whole 12 hours. So it really was, you could really...
How long did you play it for?
I must have played for at least 4.5 hours.
Oh my god.
So I gotta say, it's funny, like, I gotta say, like, I love Splatoon so much. Like, there's something about, like, the feel of the game where I almost want to say it's, like, maybe it's up there with, like, Odyssey and Mario Kart and Smash Bros. For, like, one of the best feeling games ever. Like, I just can paint and swim around, and it feels so great. And I think I mentioned to you, they have these 2 new moves where it's, like, you can kind of, like, jump backwards while you're swimming, and it's a deflective, so it's a little bit like it has that kind of satisfaction of a Smash Bros. Deke.
Yeah.
And also when you're going up a wall, it's faster and smoother feeling, but also you can do a jump that also gives you like a moment of what's it called when you can't get hurt?
Iframes, invincibility frames.
Invincibility. So you can kind of like jump over a lip and have this moment in the air where you're shooting, and it feels great. Like I love the motion controls in it too, because I feel like I'm just kind of like hosing paint everywhere as I'm like literally moving my hands. It's like I really feel great, and the town feels really good, and like I just kept it basic. I used the basic splatter shotgun, but the music's really great. Like they did a remix of the theme that's really catchy, and I really was into it. And the new maps are really great. They're really like bigger, and the graphics, like although it's hard to pinpoint why, the graphics are better. Like it feels way more detailed, and I don't know. It just like makes the original 2 feel like the levels, the environments are very, very basic in a way that this one feels so much more alive and detailed, and the town area is so much bigger, and it's like it's exactly what I told you I thought it was gonna be, like almost like a clock town where like there's kind of like a loop that you can walk around, but there's just like so many details to it, and it's just. And the action, I haven't gotten to the gameplay so much, but even the area that you go to start up a turf battle. So you never ever have to wait in a menu anymore, ever. Like literally you go in, you select what match you want to get into, and and then you just like swim around and like practice with your guns, and then you'll start to see people appear there that will be on your team. And if you're like, oh, I played this team, I want to play again, and press continue and don't leave, then you see those people swimming around in your and like testing their items in the like waiting zone.
That's cool.
And it's cool because you can actually see, and in the waiting zone you can see like other players, like and avatars of players like leaning against the wall, and you go up to them and they're like, hey, I'm looking for another player for my match, for my team. And never had to wait to get into a match, always 60 frames a second, and in that area, in that little waiting area, is the locker room area. So it's just really cool to be like, okay, I'm waiting for that minute in between matches, and I'm gonna swim over to the locker room, like look at the lockers of who I've been playing, and test my guns, and like it's a subtle difference, but it's a huge difference, and
it makes the world feel more alive.
And it's just gonna be infinitely easier for you to be like, let's join a game. Okay, let's play against each other, let's play with each other. And the other thing that gives me some kind of hope is that in the town there's lots of areas that lead somewhere. And I know you didn't play Octo Expansion, but like when you buy or download Octo Expansion, there's like a pathway into a tunnel in the town that opens up. And then you can now take that passageway into a new like hub area, so to speak, like the subway system. And there's a lot of areas that could potentially be similar in this. Like there's clearly areas that like a big open area that leads to a staircase that has like a roped off. And I'm just kind of like, well, where are all these going to lead? Who knows, right? So yeah, I guess it does feel like a proper sequel in all those ways. I'm not really someone who's going to be like, oh yeah, the new weapons are this and that. I didn't really even try them, but it just feels great. And honestly, it's weirdly one of those games where like when the demo went away, I still like think about playing it. Like I have this kind of like it's on my thoughts, kind of like Breath of the Wild was or Elden Ring was. Like not every game does that. Where like you can't wait to get back to playing it. And the last thing I'll mention is that I did the one thing. It seems like one of the disappointing things is that map rotation is back. So there's only 2 maps per hour or whatever.
Yeah, I saw that.
And you do have to wait through the talking of the guy, like the hosts, when you start the game up.
Oh, I don't think you have to. I think it's just because of Splatfest.
Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, but
someone says Splatfest, they'll still do, but the other ones you can like put your phone away and it'll just appear in the top left.
Oh, great. Okay. I mean, it felt shorter, but anyways, I'll just tell you my experience with the Splatfest. Like I chose Team Scissors, and man, we were smoking people. And one of the things I love about Splatoon is no matter how good the players against you are, like you're never gonna get like Call of Duty wrecked. Like you can always kind of do well. But Scissors won at halftime, right? Like at halftime, we were the winner. And then what happened was you go into tricolor battles where you go in and basically it'll be only at the halfway point does the tricolor battle unlock. And you don't even, it's funny, it's weird. It's like if you're on the losing teams, you can choose tricolor battle. But if you're on the winning team, you don't get to choose. So you'll either load up a turf battle again or a tricolor battle. And I'd say maybe 75% of the battles I was in were tricolor, where it's you with 4 players and you fight 2 of each other color. And I don't want to say it's broken, but I didn't win. We didn't even come close to winning a single match as the defender.
I heard too. I heard the middle team. It's like impossible.
It's like insanely hard. That's what I read too. And even Nintendo acknowledged it. They're like, we need to fix this. And I think it's as simple as like making the respawn times a little bit different, or making it longer to kind of steal the tower in the middle. Like I think they will fix it, but it was a little bit discouraging. Like it was fun. It was really kind of interesting and fun fighting like teams of 2 off. But they really need to fix that because it's like coming in first and then coming in last after that. Like that's pretty clear as day that it's not quite there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm really excited to get this next week and one week today. I'm like really, really stoked on getting it, and I'm really excited to play it. It's great, feels great to play.
Well, I'm gonna be playing it with you.
Are you getting it on day 1?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Sweet.
It's my September game.
So I guess we'll load up Xbox chat.
Yeah, like Discord is complicated. Apparently, you have to use the mobile Discord app to use it on Xbox. Like it's not as nice as it could be, but we can use Discord on Xbox and then play Splatoon.
But do we even need Discord, or couldn't we just do an Xbox party chat?
Oh yeah, you're right. We could just do that. Yep.
Okay, because I want to use that headset, and I don't think that headset I can just like use with Discord on my phone. I think I need to use it through Xbox, right?
Let's do that.
Cool. Okay. I guess the last game is Immortality.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how to talk about this game because it's almost like it spoils.
You say something, it spoils it.
It spoils it. So I guess let's say this. So for our listeners, all 3 of you, and out of the 3 of you, the one that's made it to the end here, if you're interested in this game, playing it, I would suggest maybe ending the podcast here, because this game or experience, I'd call it, is like, I'd say it's tantamount to go into this blind. I went in completely blind, and we'll talk about it. Like it's pretty cool, but to know about it would definitely take away from it.
Agreed.
So anyways, so if you're a listener, maybe stop now unless you want to kind of spoil this game for yourself, because I really want to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
So I've played maybe 3-ish hours today.
Okay. Have you seen the credits roll yet?
No.
Okay.
So, but I have. Have you? You have, obviously.
Yeah, I've seen the credits roll, and then I did a bit more after. I think I understand the plot of the movies and the overarching plot. Like I think I know everything.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for one, I really did not know what I was doing at first. I just kind of was going through it, and I still find the UI system jumping between pictures and video clips like clunky. If you know what I mean, like it doesn't feel clean. But there comes a point where you're just kind of like, who cares? Like I'm just gonna flow. I'm just like picking up these pieces to try to piece this together, right? And at first I really didn't know what was going on, but I gotta say, like the moment I started to clue in on the like reversing, like rewinding thing.
Yeah, the first time that happened was wild.
The first time that happened, I almost got scared.
Yeah, mine happened in the church, and I don't know if you know that scene where the church and the girl comes in the middle walking down the aisle.
Not specifically, but
okay. Anyways, I rewound it, and like all of a sudden everything changed. This person's like this different person's walking across. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like everything, like it was freaky.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's so powerful about it is I started off being like, what is this? But I very quickly got to the talk show clip where the one director is like talks about there being an accident and the main character becoming a recluse. And at that moment, I'm like, okay, now I understand. Like I need to find out what happened. More or less. And it's interesting because it's like you're watching clips from the movie that they filmed, but also the rehearsals and some of the behind the scenes. Like it's really interesting format. And I also really like how the acting is like actually good.
Agreed. Yeah.
I was really surprised. Like it's actually like seems like a decently high quality production in that sense.
Like they really did make 3 complete movies.
Yeah, totally. Well, I don't know, but you think they'll actually equal out to being in like you could actually piece the whole movie together?
Yeah, they're like I have like you can figure out the entire scene by scene.
I wonder if you can actually like you can just like watch that whole movie.
You can. I mean, I don't know if you can in that sense because there's still the like. I don't think anyone's actually edited and taken out like the after the cut kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think almost every scene of each movie is actually there.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to spoil because you're not done. But I mean, obviously, not every movie. None of them are officially finished.
Yeah. True. But you know, it's interesting because you really. It almost feels like a detective mystery. Like I'm in The Ring, the movie. Like
yeah, I don't see it as a video game. I see it as like I feel like I'm a forensic person looking through footage to like solve a mystery. That's really what I
same. To me it's like a visual experience, and honestly, like I almost playing it, I'm like, wow, they need to make lots more of these.
Yeah, it's just such a unique. Like again, I think there are faults. Like I agree, the UI is clunky. Sometimes it feels a little aimless or unclear of what kind of your expectations are or what to do. But
it's kind of part of it though, right?
And it's like it's such a unique experience though that it's like it's so interesting. Like after I beat this game, you know, it did kind of linger in my mind for the past few days. I have talked about it pretty excessively on the forums, just because it's so interesting, kind of to discuss what we interpreted or what we kind of pulled out from certain scenes. Because it is one of those things where it's like, oh, you'll hear something in one scene, and you go back and go, well, that kind of means that the lines in those other 3 scenes that I thought were weird actually are a lot more interesting than they were when I first watched them.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the beginning, it was interesting because, you know, the first movie, I guess, the older movie, Ambrosio is like this kind of weird religious thing. And at first I'm like, that's kind of lame. But then you realize it's kind of like extraordinarily dark. And also you kind of learn the context of these, like, I guess the black and white footage of like these demons that are, I mean, don't spoil anything for me because I'll tell you my interpretation because I'm not as far as you, but it's like these demons have like possessed these people and are manipulating and like basically making these movies and kind of manipulating these people and doing these kind of evil things, and almost like they're tricksters, right? Like they're trickster demons. And the woman demon seems more compassionate. The other one seems more evil. And it's like, you're right. It adds these kind of dark context to these scenes, especially when you go back and you rewatch the alternate version of them. Mm-hmm. And I guess for now I'm just trying to piece together like what actually happens to the girl, because I know now like the demons have somehow manipulated the situation to have that one actor get killed. But I'm just it's really interesting, and I'm also almost at a point too where it's like, okay, I'm starting to like do picture mode, and I'm getting the same clips come up. And now I need to like start looking at items or start finding a character or a character that I haven't explored yet.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll find someone in the background and be like, okay, I'm going to explore everything to do with this character and see like where their whole backstory comes into it.
Yeah.
I haven't quite pieced together the timeline because I know there's a timeline between like when someone was possessed and then like it's like the DP of the first movie becomes the director of the second movie and like he gets possessed in there. But I haven't quite gotten like I don't know if there is like a full answer to it all or if it's very interpretive and artsy.
Like it's if you really thought and see every clip and discuss it, there is a clear picture of what's going on. So like my goal was kind of I want to understand the plot of each movie and kind of what happens on the set of each movie, and I wanted to understand what the black and white stuff are and the overarching plot line. Mm-hmm. Which I think I have. It's really interesting. One of the things that it was kind of funny. So, when I was watching those black and white videos, and you're on the right path, I think. I didn't really know who those characters were in the black and white videos or whatever, and then at some point I clued into the dates. So how they you can go in chronological order of the films.
Yeah, and they're also it's on the slate at the beginning of the movie clips. Yeah.
But I mean, the first movie's in I think 68 or something, and the second movie's in the 70s, and the third movie's in the 90s.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I didn't realize, like, it took me a long time to realize, oh shit, like something weird. Like this is the moment where I was really like, something really weird happened here because this girl is the same girl and it's 20 years later,
and she's not aging. Yeah,
and the older director of the third movie knew her in the other ones, but doesn't seem to realize that she's the same age. Like that was when I was kind of like, whoa, there's a weird mystery going on here, and there's some stuff. It was just kind of mind blowing, and I was like, oh, like there's a lot more to this than I realized.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, it's gotta be so far, just the most unique gameplay experience of the year.
Agreed. Like I think
other than Splatoon's, tricolor.
Again, I don't. It's hard to say. Is this game like a fun game, or is like you're kind of just like scrubbing through footage? But again, the acting and the movies are interesting enough to keep you captivated. I think about, is this going to be in my top 10 game of the year? And I think it will, just for the uniqueness of it.
Same. I honestly think, and I gotta say, like the unsettling feeling I have playing this and going through it. I don't know if I've ever felt that in a game, and it's one of those feelings that only so few movies have given me. I don't know.
Especially if you feel like this game's, especially if you feel like it's not a game, but it's like if you actually think you're a person that's watching real footage of a person, like it is really unsettling.
Yeah, I look at it as a game, but it's a game where I'm trying to solve the mystery and understand it and like, yeah, that's how I interpret the game. Like that's the gamifying of it for me. Mm-hmm. But I just haven't been this like, I guess, unsettled and disturbed by a game since Resident Evil, Silent Hill 2 or Resident Evil 1 remake. Like, nothing's gotten to me that way where it's like, whoa, like I'm really disturbed like that. Especially the first few times I rewound it and didn't realize that I could like go a certain speed and unlock a video. Yeah. There'd just be like these moments where I'm rewinding and like there was just like a shadowy figure comes over her when something happens. And I actually like got scared in broad daylight. And I was like, whoa, what was that? Oh my god! Like, what? There's something deeper here. Like, when I first started playing, I'm like, oh, you go through the clips, you unlock more clips. Maybe have to freeze it and zoom in on things, like Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney style. But then you're right. And also like the stories are dark. There's killing, there's murder, and there's also like nudity. Like that was also weird for me. Like I'm like, wow, real nudity in a game. Yeah. Like this is, and it's all artistic, but it's like this is really wild. And they're talking, it's very sexual. Like a game like this, I don't know how it even was allowed to come out. Like it's borderline, I don't know. But yeah, it's just I don't know what else to really say about it. It's really, really cool and unsettling. And
I'm glad you liked it, because I really didn't know how you were gonna like it. Whether you would be like that or you'd be like, again, because I know you're so heavily reliant on really fun gameplay. And really, this game is not a fun game. It's just a really captivating and interesting series of footage.
well,
Like
it's fun in the sense that watching a horror movie is fun. Like it's not. It's like you're uncomfortable, you're nervous, you're unsettled, you're disturbed. You don't know when things are gonna really rock you to your core, and like that's the fun
I know, but
I get of it.
I just mean more so like the gameplay of it. Like there is really no good gameplay to this.
It's
It's
basically
like
watching it.
yeah, but it's like the mental, like what you're actually doing with your mind while watching it, I think is what makes it so good.
Yeah, and I gotta ask you one little thing. Like, there came a point when I was playing where then I started to realize that I realized what I was looking for. I did start to like fast forward through clips. Like, I didn't sit there and watch every clip fully.
I haven't watched every clip fully.
But I just mean even some of the clips of like scenes in the movie, I'll kind of glean that like this is not that important of information, and I'll kind of like fast forward through it, looking for the important information or looking for the moment where there's the ghostly figure, right?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say it's always a ghostly figure. Like again, part of the fun is figuring out what happened on the movies that made them not come out, or what transition between one movie to the next. So there are some scenes that are like, whoa, like I shouldn't have fast forwarded that, because that was a really, even though it wasn't a black and white rewind clip, it was one of those scenes where it's like, wow, that showed that character in a way that was not normal. Like that character is on the set of the footage didn't do what they normally do. Like something weird has happened at this time. Then I go back chronologically of the movie, or chronologically in the calendar. What happened to this character to make them change so drastically between this footage and earlier on?
Yeah,
Because there are moments where you're like, that character just is so not what they're normal.
yeah. I'm actually excited to jump back into it. I mean, I played for a good like 3 hours my first time, and I'll probably just do one other sitting and do 3 hours and really get to the end, and that'll probably be it.
Yeah,
But,
I think that's all you really need. Yeah.
but yeah, it's cool. Like, I mean, yeah, it's like, and I don't know, because I edit, right? Like I'm a video editor. Like, it feels like natural in a weird way, where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna scrub through footage, I'm gonna rewatch the same clip, and I'm gonna like try to rewatch this clip in a different context. And now that I'm like I'm taking a picture of the black and white demon or whatever, it's taking me to a clip where now I'm like, oh well, why is me taking a picture of them taking me to this clip? Well, let me now re-explore this clip. Like, it feels like almost like video editing in a weird way. Not, like you're looking through your raw footage. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Are you doing it where you try to focus on one movie at a time, or are you just jumping out? Like, are you trying to follow the plots of all three movies?
So right now, to be honest with you, I only thought there was two movies. So I think I'm mixing up the 90s and this 80s, 70s one.
Okay. There's the one where there's one where she has red hair, one where she has the short brunette, and there's the one where she's a blonde.
Yeah. Okay. The blonde one I haven't got too much of yet. I've seen a lot of auditions for that. I haven't. I now pretty much get the idea of the first movie, Ambrosia.
So yeah, I watched that entire movie before I looked at the other two at all. So I like only focused on those clips and watched all of it to understand that movie.
Okay. I think I was jumping around a lot more at the beginning. I was like. I was kind of trying to get a grasp of what the game was, so I was jumping around so much that I kind of looked at pieces of everything, and then I think now that I have more of a grip on it, I'm gonna like do what you're saying and kind of go through chronologically and really start to figure it out in my head. But yeah, at the beginning I was kind of just jumping around and trying to get a grip on things, and now I get the idea that there's this kind of movie production team and this actor and these things possessing them, and actually at the beginning I thought the mystery was figuring out how that guy got shot on set. So that's kind of where my initial mind was. It's like, oh, it all leads up to this shooting, and how did he die, and what happened, and how...
So you've seen him get shot?
Yeah. I saw him get shot very, very early.
Oh, okay.
So I knew it instantly. I'm like, I instantly saw the talk show clip where he says there was an accident on set. She became a recluse. And then I finally saw the clip of him actually getting shot. And then everything around that, I'm like trying to find out why.
See, what's cool to me is when I did it, I don't know if you've seen the scene. I've seen the scene where she is on camera. She films herself apologizing for the accident before I even knew what the accident was. So she like there's a scene where she sits down in front of the camera. And it's like her being like herself, not a character. And she's like, it was an accident. I didn't mean for it to happen. Like, I have to go away now. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do this for the movie. And I was like, what the hell does it, like, what happened? Like, I don't know. So that's like kind of was the driving for me to search through that movie more.
Yeah. That's cool. I haven't seen that clip yet. The one that really got to me was the one where she's burning the mannequin. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
Yeah.
That one was just like all of a sudden it's like I'm just watching like a clip out of a horror movie, and like it just went from such a like so much of it feels so innocent in a way, like they're just making a movie and it's all part of this movie, and it's like auditions that are innocent and rehearsals that are innocent.
It's interesting because that was the clip that unlocked the ending for me. So I don't actually know what unlocks the ending credits, but that was the last scene before the final moment of me getting to the ending sequence.
It might be that you have to get a certain number of clips. Like I don't really quite know. To me, it's like I don't quite even know why it would need an ending. You know what I mean? Like it's just let me figure it out and never let it end.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure like what the ending is per se, but
yeah, it didn't stand out as a significant ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
But super cool experience. Like what a great Game Pass game. Like I probably wouldn't have bought this on
me too
on anything else. So it's really quite cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I really wasn't sure because it's similar to your work, and the gameplay is just it's different.
I can see someone not giving it a chance, like really, trying it out for like literally 2 minutes and be like, this is stupid, and giving up on it. But like if you really give it a chance, it's really awesome experience for sure. And creepy, like just creepy, like creepy in a way that a linear movie can't be.
Again, I think you've like figured out some of them, but there are moments where like you'll see a black and white footage and it'll reveal something, and you're like, truly like, oh damn, like the past 10 scenes that I've seen of this movie are completely different than what I just thought they were.
Okay, don't tell me anymore.
No,
now I want to go play and figure more out on this.
Yeah.
But anyways, Derek, that's pretty much it. We've talked for 2 hours now. I think it's
this is a good
podcast.
good podcast. Let's call it.
Okay, let's call it a night. If you're still out there listening, thanks for joining us, and please subscribe, leave a comment, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And Derek, good chat.
Yeah, it's a good chat. This is Nintendo Bros Podcast. This is Derek. I'll see you later.
And this is Peter signing out.